What's up, and welcome back to the Ramble On podcast. It is the home of your 3-7 last place in the A10 Loyola Chicago Ramblers. My name is Zach Coe, and I am joined, as always, by my 5-star co-host, George Gabra. George, 2 in a row, which means you win one game on Sunday, and that's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
It has happened before, and we were saying get a win on Saturday against a Princeton team who's been struggling. They haven't been very good this year. You're playing this game at home. Get a win there, get it to 2, and then you play Chicago State, which we're going to get into here in a little bit on Sunday. You make it 3 in a row, and then you got some real momentum going into a real tough swing to finish non-conference play against San Francisco and Santa Clara. Just getting that win on Saturday was a slow start, picked it up in the second half, wound up getting the victory over a Princeton team, which they're not terrible, but they're not very good either. It's a game you have to have at home, and it was really nice to see them win that game. And I think they've got to be feeling pretty good about themselves, especially with what they have coming up here. If they can beat Chicago State, that's 3 in a row, and that's an official winning streak. And then you go on out west, you can maybe steal one there. You go into A10 play confident. That's what we need at this point. We need confidence. We need the guys feeling good about themselves, winning ball games, and that's what we've done the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about when this losing streak first kind of started, and even just in the Mercyhurst game about, like you said, building momentum, getting right for A10 play, because at a certain point, well, really just after that second game of the year, we were playing for a sweep in Pittsburgh in the A10 tournament and just looking to play spoiler. So to finally start putting the pieces together and playing well is good to see. And I'm looking right now. It has been a rough stretch for Princeton. They have lost 7 in a row. They're 3-10. They lost to Merrimack last night by 3.
Oof. The Warriors.
59-56. Yeah. So tough sledding for Princeton, but like you said, get what should be, again, it's we've already lost to a team in the neck this year, so I don't want to say it should be a pretty easy win, because when you're playing as poorly as this team has played through the first they're 10 games of the season, so it's hard to say that anything should be an easy win, especially with a Chicago State team with, like we said when we were previewing them, it kind of seems like they always find a way to play them tough, whether it be rivalry or whatnot. So hopefully they can come out and continue to string together some of the wins or some of the good basketball that we've seen them play in these last 2 ones. And like you said, we only have these 2 games, or I guess 3 games before conference play, and then that's when the real season starts.
Yeah, once you get into A10 play, obviously those games mean a lot more just with the conference and those stakes and everything, and especially when you're in a high major like the A10, winning the conference does mean something, and a lot of these games, you want to win them, but when those games come around, those games have an extra importance, an extra feel to them, so getting ready for that, then again, getting some momentum. If you can beat Chicago State on Sunday afternoon, and then you can go out west, and if you can take 1 or 2 there, I think you come back home, you're feeling really good about yourselves before you head to, or I think Rhode Island is coming here, or is that
No,
in?
it's in Rhode Island.
Okay, yeah, I think you said you might be going to that game.
Yeah, if tickets don't get any cheaper, but
okay.
It's like $80. $80 to go to fucking Rhode Island is ridiculous.
I mean, Providence, maybe, but Rhode Island, I don't know.
Yeah, no, not from me, at least. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that still is kind of concerning to me is I don't know if you saw St. Louis played Central Michigan a couple days ago.
I did not see that one. Did they kill them?
107-65 was the final.
Okay.
So a nice 42-point beatdown.
Yeah, I'd call that a boat race.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think right now St. Louis is the leader in the pack as far as the A10 is concerned. I mean, the last time I checked, they were top 30, I think it is, in the net in Ken Palm. So, like, obviously, you're talking about the cream of the crop here in terms of the conference, but it is mildly concerning that you beat them, and you beat them handedly, and it's tough to complain about a win that we've already talked about and recapped, but it just is something to keep an eye on when looking at some of these common opponents that Central Michigan's getting boat raced by the top team in the conference by 42 points, and you only beat them by 11. So there's obviously still room for improvement, and I think everybody associated with the team would say that. But yeah, headed in the right direction at the bare minimum.
Definitely, yeah. We're winning games, and I think at this point, with how the season has started, you take any win you can get, no matter how ugly it is. St. Louis, I think they're probably the favorites, I would say, right now to win the
Oh yeah,
A10.
definitely.
They've just cruised, and the one game they did lose was to Stanford. I don't know if you saw the end of that,
Yeah, the
but
buzzer beater.
Stanford missed the free throw, and then the ball got kicked out. They lost on a buzzer beater up 2 on a 3. So they could very easily be undefeated, and that's a team that we are not close to right now. I'm hoping that by the
No,
time we do play, which we don't, I think we only play it. No, we do play them
we
twice.
play them
So
twice. Yeah,
we'll play them on the 13th of
February 13th.
February, and then we'll play them on the 4th of March. So definitely have some time to improve before we do see them. But I think that St. Louis is on another level than us and a lot of teams in the conference right now. But again, I think for us, just with how the season has started, just getting wins under your belt, no matter how you get them, is something you got to put a smile on your face and be positive about. Because again, we thought this thing could be getting real ugly. It's still ugly, but I don't think it's gotten. If we would have lost the game to Central Michigan and Princeton, and we were sitting here 1-9, then we would be saying, well, are we going to win like more than 2 or 3 games this year? That would be a real question. I think a lot of people are feeling a lot more positive today than they were a week ago, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. We can dive into this win, second in a row against Princeton, 73-68, the final on Saturday in Rogers Park. Justin Moore, second good game in a row, second great game in a row, I would say. 21 points led the way there. Miles Rubin with a double-double, 10 rebounds and 12 points in 33 minutes. Also added in 5 blocks, so the triple nickel, as they call it. And then Cade Dotson getting a start over Miles Rubin. That would be really something to see him down low over Chuck Love. Chuck Love sliding back into the bench role after 7 straight games in the starting lineup. Cade Dotson really starting to come into his own a little bit. And something that Drew said on his sit down with RSN that like really broke my brain was, if you had to guess last year who played more minutes, Cade Dotson at New Mexico or Daniil Glaskov for Loyola, both freshmen, who would you say played more minutes last year?
I would say Dotson.
Yeah, well, that would be incorrect. It was Daniil Glaskov played more minutes last year
because
than
I
Cade
mean
Dotson.
Glaskov didn't really play at all. So
Yeah, exactly. He played here and there. Yeah. So that like really shocked me when Drew said that. So kind of him like coming into his own, and he said getting his feet under him. My big question here is like in Dotson and Josh Joseph are obviously the two big ones and guys that are starting to come into their own and starting to figure their shit, like get their shit together, for lack of a better term. It's just like I don't understand the slow starts. Like even if things do turn around, and I'm not saying this team has to go to the tournament anymore. I think like I that ship has effectively sailed for me unless they get scorching hot in March. It's something that we've talked about like countless times. I mean, we said it earlier in the episode that we're just looking to play spoiler and see what happens when we get to Pittsburgh. But I just don't understand how it takes to me, it just shouldn't take 2 months for these guys to get going. Like Josh Joseph, Drew said that he used to call Phil a lapdog when he wasn't playing aggressive. And if he wanted to sit on the perimeter, then there are plenty of other perimeter players that he can go to and play them. But it doesn't matter if he goes 0 for 4 from 3, if he's playing like a German Shepherd, if he's playing like a dog and using his physicality. It's something to keep an eye on. Like I've hesitated to say that I'm out on Drew this season, although I was dangerously close. But it is something that is concerning because obviously last year you come out of the gates firing at 9-0. But I don't think anyone would say that team was really like lighting the world on fire by any stretch. It was more of a product of one of the worst schedules in college basketball. I want to say their non-con schedule was in the 350s last year, right?
Yeah, I believe it was bottom 10 last year.
Yeah. So you finally run into a good team, and obviously the Justin Moore injury goes a long way into that, but you finally run into a good team in San Francisco and they beat you. It's just, I understand that it's tough sledding in terms of scheduling, but I would like for these teams to eventually start to get off to much better starts to the season, because in the future, it shouldn't just be second game of the season, our at-large hopes are dead, especially when you're talking about the quality of opponents that they've played, which I saw the tweet earlier and now I just cannot find it to save my life. So I'll just look it up on KenPom for the strength of schedule, but they were in the 300s yet again. So it's one of those things where if you're going to play weak schedules, and I understand the challenges of that, 337 it looks like on KenPom for strength of schedule so far. It's just
Yeah,
you
so
need to
yeah.
be better than 3-7.
Yeah, I mean, last year was the weak schedule, and we kept harping on it's a weak schedule. We're playing well, but it's a weak schedule. We got to get
Yeah.
better scheduling wise in not only this year, but every year moving forward. And again, it's been a very weak schedule, obviously a little bit better, but still a weak schedule. And we're sitting here at 3-7. So it certainly doesn't make you feel good about the prospect of going into A10 play with any sort of confidence this team has a shot to compete for a title, which I think you and I both 27-4 prediction at the beginning of the season. That's obviously way out the window, and we thought this team would be one of the favorites to win the conference. And again, they've won 2 in a row, but that's against 2 lousy teams. You just got to hope you can build some momentum there, and guys that you paid a lot of money to in the transfer portal that came in that have not performed start to play better, and hopefully that confidence builds and the team just gels as a whole and they can get right into rhythm into when A10 play starts. But again, yeah, you said it. The starts for Drew's teams have not been great out of the gate, and even though last year they did start 9-0, they lost all 3 games in the Diamond Head, and they just kind of I don't know, sunk there before A10 play started. So you want to see some consistency there when the season starts, and you haven't seen it yet, aside from these last 2 games.
Yeah, and to me, the big thing that sticks out to me is that look at what happens when your 2 best players are playing to their capabilities. I mean, Justin Moore and Miles Rubin. Uh, Drew called Moore the best point guard in the A10, and he didn't really walk it back, but he kind of gave a qualifier post game on Saturday that like when he had a little bit of time of a rest, he had a little bit of a break, and when he's not right and he's fiddling with his knee, that's when you kind of see him start to struggle again. But obviously the long layoff, and it's something that we mentioned in the past, like I wasn't necessarily expecting him to come back and immediately return to form. But the big thing for Justin Moore, and this one to me, is 0 turnovers. He has 6 assists and 0 turnovers with 21 points. That's more of the Justin Moore that we were seeing last year when we were talking about him being a top 20, 25 point guard, especially in terms of taking care of the basketball. So these guys that are the standard, really, the guys that have been here at least for Moore in terms of 1 year, his year last year, and then Miles, of course, this is year 3. Like these are the guys that know what it takes to play winning Loyola basketball. So the fact that they're now playing closer to their capabilities and it's starting to result in wins is not really shocking to me, but it's a really positive development for them.
It certainly is. Last year, when Moore was playing before he injured his ACL and was out for the year, one of the things that we were saying is he was just a floor general, and he was able to he was able to get guys open. He was able to create shots for other people on the floor, and he was also really good at not turning the ball over. Fast forward to this year, I think at the beginning of the season here, he's still kind of getting his legs under him. He's turning the ball over. He's playing a little frantically, I guess would be the word. I don't know, just a little more. He's last year was very calm, and I feel like he's starting to get calm. He's starting to get his legs back under him, and when he does that, you see him not turn the ball over. You see him making really nice passes. You see him being that floor general that we thought he would be, and I think he is turning into that. And from what we've seen the last 2 games and these 2 wins, again, 21 points, very limited on the turnovers. I think he's got 10 assists in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
That's the Justin Moore that we remember seeing before he got injured last year. And again, when you're out for almost an entire calendar year, it's tough to get back out there and be playing big games in Division I basketball. You got to get your legs under yourself, and I think he's gotten his legs under him here, and he's making really good plays. He's a smart player, and he's making great passes to set up his teammates to score the ball. And again, he had 21 points himself. So if he can continue to do that, the team's automatically going to be better no matter what.
Yeah, and especially you said like when you miss a calendar year and when you consider the nature of the injury. I mean, something as serious as an ACL tear, there's so much that goes into it. I mean, you hear so many different athletes, whether it be basketball, football, or anywhere, where it's like, okay, like I have to learn to trust my knee again. Like I need to like be comfortable using it again and not and be ready to use it to like lift off and not think that it's going to tear again. So like obviously that's a whole psychological and mental aspect to things that I don't think we really consider all the time. But like you said, I completely echo all your sentiments. Like when it's automatically going to make the team better, when your floor general, when your point guard, when someone who the coach called the best point guard in the A10 is playing like this, it's going to make your team infinitely, infinitely better. And I think part
Mm-hmm.
of the reason too is these other guys starting to step up. Like I think some of the franticness, some of the out of control, some of the turnovers that we were seeing were him trying to do too much. And now that other guys are chipping in and being more effective, Miles Rubin was 5 of 6 from the field. Cade Dotson shot 50% from the field. And Josh Ola Joseph, we mentioned it. He 8 points in only 22 minutes, but it's guys being more effective and not forcing him to do too much when he's out there. So I think that's a big development, and it's finally starting to maybe not all come together, but we're starting to see a little bit more of the team that we were hoping to see in the preseason.
Exactly. And I think from the first 8 games of the season, I don't know if we could have looked any worse than we did. It was
No,
just,
no,
it looked
yeah.
like things were broken. It looked like just the sky was falling, and it was falling. They were 1-7. The team was playing terribly. And now, again, it was against 2 opponents that you should be beating. But you got to beat the teams that you got to beat. And
Yeah,
they won
they
those
haven't
two
done that.
games. And yeah, they have not done that. I think to this point, honestly, aside from Colorado State and at Wichita, I think we should have been 8-2 at this point with what we like, because we overestimated at the beginning. But I think with the talent on this team and what they've shown us the last 2 games, that the talent is in there. They got to play as a team. They got to gel, and sometimes that does take a little time, especially with the transfer portal, bringing in so many. I think it was 8 newcomers this year that have come in, and
Mhm.
you got to learn to play with one another, and hopefully that's what we've seen over the last 2 games. And Saturday, again, it was lousy start. They were down 22-11 with 7 minutes left in the first half, and we were watching the game together, and it's like, well, here we go again. It's another bad performance. Game we should win that we're favored by 5-6 points, and we're going to lose. Then they turned it on. They took the lead at halftime, and even though it was closer than I think a lot of us would have liked to seen it, they were able to close down the stretch, win the game by 5 points, and get a game that they really had to have.
Yeah, still 0 for against the spread, right? Or did they cover
No, they
against
did
Central Michigan?
cover against Central Michigan. I believe they lost by the hook here. I think it was 5.5
Yeah,
or
yeah, it
six
was
and a
five
half.
and a
So
half in that one. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Where's
So
the
1-9.
well, there's a start. I know a bunch of people were saying that they started fading them on the spread and on the money line on Twitter, and it's something that we talked about that we hadn't been able to bring ourselves to do. But it would have been
Yeah.
you'd be looking at 9-1 if you just did that, which seems rather simple. But I hate fading my own
Yeah,
teams.
I was gonna do it, but I can't do it. But I did send the when they played Central Michigan, I said, oh, they're
But yeah,
0-8 against the spread. They're 1-7 overall. I'd probably take Central Michigan, and then they
that's the
win,
one
they
they
cover.
cover.
I'm happy. I get off the flight, and then I see a text from my buddy in our group chat. He's like, at the first game that I faded Loyola today.
Of
So
course, obviously.
we gotta get him fading Loyola more often.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Couple other things from this one. Percent from the field when you only shoot 27% from three. This is more of the offense that I think we were both looking to see. It's something that's been so annoying. It's something that I've mentioned on Twitter. I've mentioned on here. When you get bogged down by the threes, it's such an annoying and stagnant offense to watch. It's now they're
Hmm.
starting to get more into the flow of the offense and look similar to the ball handling and the distributing team that we're seeing. Just quick maths, how many 13 assists to only 9 turnovers. And once again, they hit that turnover mark of under 10 turnovers. You're going to be in good shape to win. It's a tried and true method. It's crazy how every game you look at when they perform well, it's less than 10 turnovers. And one other thing, 65% free throws. Just every year, I just don't understand it.
It's every
It's
year. I think it's just
yeah.
something that it's just Loyola can't shoot free throws. I from this moment that I've been a fan of the team since I started going to the school, graduated, and now as rooting for them as an alum, they can't shoot free throws. And again, they're free. Nobody's guarding you, and they just for some reason they're not able to do it. Maybe it's the jersey, maybe it's the arena. I don't know what it is, but they just can't do it, and it's very frustrating, especially down the stretch when you're trying to protect the lead.
For as good as Miles Rubin, or at least it felt like he started the year shooting free throws, he's completely come back down to earth. He's
Yeah.
all the way back down to 58.5% from the
Yeah, it was two
charity
for
stripe.
eight on
Yeah.
Saturday, and again, it's just goes all the way up. It's like it's going to hit the ceiling, and it was working. And we're saying, well, whatever you got to do. I know a lot of guys, or not a lot of guys, but I remember the Canadian Krutwig who played for
Oh, yeah.
Southern Illinois, and he was on Wolford for a few years, I believe. Cam Filowich. and he
Yeah.
did the granny style, and he still wasn't good, but it definitely his percentage went up when he started doing that. So I think that the high arc works for Miles. It's kind of hit or miss for him. Just as a big
Yeah.
man, it's a lot of big men can't shoot free throws, and hopefully that he gets back on a hot streak here with that.
Well, believe it or not, this 58.5%, he's on pace. It's on pace to be his career high in free throw percentage.
Okay.
It
No,
was
there you go.
56,
Keep
yeah,
going up. Keep going up.
56.9 his freshman year, 48.8 last year, and now 58.5. So, I mean, I guess a 10-point jump on your free throw percentage is pretty solid.
He's over the 50% mark, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, that's all you can really ask for. It
Mhm.
just gets tough to have him, like, I mean, he's your best player, so obviously you have to have him out there late in games, but, like, at a certain point, it's gonna turn into hack a Rubin, where it's like, all right, he's a 50 whatever percent free throw shooter, we're just gonna put him at the line late and see what happens. And it's
Mhm.
like you said in this one, it was 2 for 8, so really not pretty on that front. One more guy I wanted to highlight is Dewalt Tavares, who I feel like he had that good game against Central Michigan, but I feel like he's just been such a, like, maybe not a disappointment, but definitely underwhelmed from what he's given you so far. And believe it or not, he's actually the team leader in free throw percentage, all the way up at 94.4. But it just seems like his impact hasn't been enough for him to, like, be out there that late into games. Maybe I'm overstating things because I'm sitting here looking at the season stats, and it's still the hair over 10 points a game, but the shooting percentage is 39.5, and the 3-point percentage is, where is it? I just had it, now I can't find it. 35.6. Like, I just feel like I was expecting a lot more from him. It's definitely been a down, or somewhat down season, especially from beyond the arc from where he was at last year, because he shot almost 42% at Charleston, and now it's back down to 35.6. So I was hoping for a little bit more from him, and we just haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't. I think that first game against Cleveland State, he came up clutch with those 2 late threes,
Yeah.
including the game winner. But since then, he's kind of been good game, bad game, good game, bad game. And this game against Princeton was one of those bad games. He only had 6 points. But I just think with his skill level and what he did last year at Charleston, especially when we saw him in the Diamond Head, I think it's in there, and I think that he is going to heat up here. Sometimes it just takes guys a little bit to get into rhythm. Again, I think it's what we've seen with Drew coach teams. A lot of guys and the entire team, it just takes a little while to get into rhythm and start getting into your groove. And I think eventually we're going to see that, and I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. But it has kind of been, again, good, bad, and I'm hoping to see a lot more good here coming up because he does have the talent. You can see it when he's got the ball in his hands, and even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's cutting to the hoop. He's playing good defense, but just the shots aren't falling for him right now. That's basketball. Sometimes you just need to see a few go through the hoop to get that confidence back, and hopefully that plus the 2 wins here gives him and the entire team some confidence.
Yeah, and I think the emergence of Cade Dotson makes it a little bit lighter on him. Like, you aren't expecting as much from Daywalk if Cade's doing well. Like, I mean, really, I mean, we saw it in the last 2 games, really. You only need one of those 2 guys to supplement what Moore and Rubin are giving you. And even you can throw the rest of the other, like, role players, for lack of a better term, into things. Because I think, like, obviously you have the 2-headed monster in Moore and Rubin, and that's what we were expecting it to be going into the season. So you throw in Tavares, Dotson, Kamani Winsu, Josh Ola Joseph. Eventually we'll be getting Xavier Amos into the mix.
Mhm.
I
Excited for him to
presume.
come back.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they kind of use him, because obviously in some of these games where just quick highlight, Miles 0 fouls in this one against Princeton, so he was able to play 33 minutes. Like, I'm interested to see
That's
how they
beautiful.
work him in, especially
Yeah,
because
that's
Alex
awesome.
Richardson has just been so disappointing. I mean, he
Mhm.
only played 6 minutes in this one against Princeton. It's just they need another big, because I don't think, like, I wouldn't say that Miles is like a sloppy player in terms of fouling, but he's definitely a guy that gets into foul trouble. And I think that's something that just happens with prolific shot blockers. Like, you're always looking to block a shot. So you're going to find yourself in foul trouble here and there. So someone who can spell him, and maybe so he's not having to play like 35 plus minutes a night, will be nice to see from Amos. I assume Drew kept saying finals week as a target date. So that's this week. And
Yeah,
so I
I
assume we're
believe
either going to
so.
see him Sunday or in California. And but who knows? I didn't hear an update on him at any point yet. So and even Chuck Love throwing it back into the role players. You really only need 1 or 2 of them to supplement you and put you in a good position to win. And this one, it was Cade Dotson. So
Yeah, no, exactly. There's a lot of guys who have been stepping up here just in terms of role players. And I know we've had the three stars of the game the last couple of games here, and Miles Rubin, Cade Dotson, Justin Moore were the stars of that one. But I think a lot of these guys, again, I've already said it a couple times here in the last few minutes, but just playing with one another in actual game time, because over the summer you're practicing against each other all day, every day, and it kind of gets stale. You get to the regular season, you start playing actual teams, you see another jersey on the opposing side. And I think sometimes it does take a little while. And I think with a lot of these guys who have come in, either whether it's Chuck Love as a true freshman or whether it's transfer guys like Ola Joseph, like Tavares, like Dotson, guys like that, it just takes a little bit to gel as a team. And again, I think I'm going to say it again, but the confidence of just getting some wins under your belt and having that and not losing to teams that you should beat, I think is going to be big for this team moving forward. And that's why I think this game on Sunday is so important, because if you can win that game against a Chicago State team that we've had troubles with in the past, but we'll get into it here in a minute, Chicago State is not very good. This game is at
no.
home. This is a game you should dominate. And if you dominate that, you feel good on the flight going out to California to play San Francisco on Wednesday at the Chase Center, and then Santa Clara, I believe, would be next weekend before getting into conference play. That's a real chance to get some momentum, get some confidence in your guys, and again, just have everybody feeling good about themselves, which is what you want.
Yeah, we can. I'm good to get into that one against Chicago State if you want to. Now, I don't have too much on this one against Princeton anymore. It's just like we said. It's
Yeah,
nice to take care of business against a team that you're much better than, and or should on paper much better than. I know all the metrics would say otherwise right now. I think there's still work to be done defensively
hmm
in terms of defense. Work to be done defensively in terms of defense. Good word, Zach. This is my second podcast of the day, so I've been yapping for quite a while, but obviously still work to be done there on that side of the ball. They're up to 291 in the Ken Palm, but the defensive rating is still all the way down at 328. So definitely, with when you consider the quality of opponent, it's not what you want. That's
yep,
for sure.
no,
So obviously work to be done there, but I think this is it's something that we harped on over and over again. This is a defensive oriented program. At least when they've had success, it's been a defensive oriented program. So hopefully they can kind of square things away on that end. And I think we've seen strides being made on defense. And Drew said that he's still looking for guys to improve on defense. He mentioned Cade being one of them. I think some of the deficiencies that we've seen from Chuck Love have been defensively. I mean, really, but it's hard to blame him. Like when you're relying on a freshman to play that many minutes, like there are going to be growing pains. And when he's playing that important of a role, which he had to because nobody else was stepping up at the time, there's going to be growing pains, and it makes them more pronounced when they're playing that type of role. But yeah, so I think defensively, obviously, still work to be done, but it's a step in the right direction, which is like all we were begging for these last however many weeks.
exactly. Yeah, you can't complain about a win, even if it's ugly, when you have been playing as bad as we have the first month of the season. And I think most of the defense is just effort. And I think when you're losing again and you're not feeling good about your game on the offensive side of the ball and shots aren't falling, it's going to be dejecting, and I think it's going to affect your play on the defensive side of the balls. I think as the team grows and they start to play better on the offensive side of the ball, I think you're going to see the defense start to play better and just give a little more effort and kind of buckle down a little more.
Yeah, so we can dive into this game against Chicago State. The Cougars, they're coming into town at a whopping 1-9. But like I said, you already lost to a team in the neck. So
Yep.
trying to get a little interconference revenge here in this one. Just I mentioned looking at some of the similar opponents. St. Louis beat the Chicago State team 108-86, so a 22-point margin of victory. I don't know that I'm expecting something that big, just given the history of Chicago State and how tough they usually play this Loyola team. But what do you got on the Cougs?
Well, I labeled this one as a must win and a can't lose. This is a game we have to have, especially going to California after this to play two games against two very good teams in San Francisco and Santa Clara. You got to come out, you got to win this game, have a happy flight out west, and just get a win over a team that you have more talent than. They're 346th in the net. You said it, they're 1-9 overall. They hail from the same conference as the team we lost to about a month ago, Mercyhurst, the Northeastern Conference, which is, if it's not the worst conference, I think it would be 32. If it's not 32, they're 30 or 31. This is a bad
Yeah.
league, bad teams, and we'll see it on Saturday or on Sunday, hopefully, with Chicago State. They're 358th in the Ken Palm, 333rd offensive rating, 358th defensive rating. They do have a few guys who have put up double digits this year, averaging Marcus Tankerselli. Sorry, Marcus, I'm butchering your last name. He leads the team with 15.2 points per game. Doyle Cockerill, he's averaging 13.3 points per game, and CJ Ray, he's averaging 10 points per game. So those are the guys you got to look out for. This is a terrible offense. They average a measly 64 points. That is 334th in the country, and they only shoot 40.1% from the field. That is 303rd in the country, and this is a terrible defense. They give up 88.4 points per game. That is 352nd. So a lot of these rankings, that points allowed, points scored, shooting percentage, big statistics, they are in the well into the 300s on all of them. So again, it's just not a very good team. And I think that we need to come out there and get a big win, because this is a team, I think, just talent wise on paper. And again, on paper, talent wise, we haven't done it against teams that we are better than. But in this one, we have to just go out and win the game.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. It feels like they're playing with their food a whole lot. And it's something that dates back from years, really. It's the last several years. It's felt like they've just kind of failed to really be able to pull away. And I think it happened a little bit in this Princeton game too, where you have the opportunity to pull away and really bury them in cover, and you go 0 from the field in the last 3+ minutes, like a hair over 3 minutes. So like you said, to just come out and absolutely dominate a team that you should be much better than. I mean, I know that the metrics as far as where we are in the net and the Ken Palm and all that stuff is probably closer than it. Like if you had said that we're going to be 291 and then, or we're going to be within even 100 spots of Chicago State in the Ken Palm before the season started, or even in the net, I would have been like, oh, so Chicago State's having a really good year, huh? Like it's just something that we weren't expecting to see out of this. But to come out and immediately to continue off of that momentum that you're starting to build here, and heading into this big California road trip where, like you said, I think a split even is being a little bit optimistic, because I think there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of like even getting to the halfway point of where we thought they were going to be when the season started. But like to be on a winning streak, have, like you said, it's like in the last episode, it's nice to win 1, it's nice to win 2. Now, can we build off of that and try to salvage the season that looked like it was going to be lost even just 2 weeks ago? So you have a chance to continue to do that against a team that you're way more talented than. That much I can tell you for an absolute certain. Yeah. This is a Chicago State team. I mean, you're not even in the same ballpark in terms of talents. You're not in the same ballparks in terms of quality of players that you're recruiting and whatnot. So, like you said, it's just, you have to come out and just boat race them from the jump.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to come out, throw a punch early, get them knocked down, and keep throwing punches and have them stay there and win this game handily, I think, to really keep building that momentum. Chicago State, much like Northern Illinois, I think this is a school with a lot of guys on the team who, they have this one circled. They definitely have it circled because it's a team in the same city as them. Loyola, a team who's had a lot of success over the years. They're at Chicago State, and I think that they want to go out and prove to Loyola and the country that, hey, we deserve to play with, I guess I wouldn't call Loyola this year the big boys, but even so, Chicago State beating Loyola, that would be a huge victory for them. You know that the entire, all 12, 15, whatever, however many guys on that team they've had that game circled. You know, the head coach has it circled, and they're going to want to come out and want to prove something. And they have, even though they haven't beaten us. I think we played every year for the last several years, at least since I've been following the team. And we were talking about this on the second part of the preview when we were talking about this game. And they always keep it close. They always play hard. They come into our building, and they give us a fight. If they give us a fight, then they keep doing that. And what we have shown for most of the season, they can definitely come in there and pull the upset. So we got to be ready to go. Again, we can't play with our food. We have to take this opponent as seriously as if we were playing Duke or Alabama or Arizona or Michigan or any one of those schools. We have to take it as seriously as if we were playing anybody else, and come out ready to go, because I know that the Cougars are going to be ready to go on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we saw specifically in the Mercyhurst game where it's like, all right, we're just going to come out, we're going to go through the motions and we can win this game. Sleepwalking. So hopefully Drew and the coaching staff and the players can take that and say, like, look at what happens when we take an inferior opponent from an inferior conference, and treat it like we can just show up and close our eyes and win a basketball game. Look, they have it circled. This is their Super Bowl. Like, this is Chicago State's Super Bowl. Like, they
Yeah.
want to knock you off. They're hungry. Like you said, they've been close in these last couple years. So just to come out and be like, all right, you've played us tough, but we're not going to take you lightly would be great. I would like to see them get better rebounding. Chicago State is the 327th ranked rebounding team in the country. You're not that much better. You're at 322. But again, this is a team that you're so much more athletic than. And like, when you look at arounds, the teams that are around in terms of rebounding, Dayton is all the way down at 331, but right after, tied at 22nd is the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State in terms of rebounding in the country.
The old system play.
Yes. So like, these are the schools that you're around in terms of rebounding.
Yeah.
So again, to like kind of flex your muscles a little bit and be aggressive, attack the boards, do all the things that you weren't doing earlier in the season, and kind of show that this season isn't a lost cause. Cause I think we're still at that point where it's a salvageable season, especially we haven't even gotten into conference play yet.
100%. Yeah. This season, it hasn't gotten off the way that everybody wanted it to, but again, there's so many games to play. It's only a third over, little less than a third over. You got 2/3 of the season left to go. And just to go back to the rebounding point that you made, just in terms of athletes and physical prowess that Loyola has over Chicago State, just in terms like the guys that they have on their team compared to them, it should be no question, if each team is given the same effort, who should win the rebounding battle, who should win those effort stats. So that's something that I will definitely be looking for on Sunday as well, just to see them going out, and if they're playing 110%, I don't really see a way that we lose this game.
Yeah, and even just looking at the individual rebounding stats, it's Miles up at 6.7 rebounds per game, and then the second on the team is Josh Joseph at 3.6, and I think we're starting to see it a little bit more out of him, and Drew continues to harp on that. Like, I want to see him play aggressively, and we're seeing it more and more for sure. But I think this is a guy at 6'7", 215. We are looking to kind of assert his prowess, assert his size a little bit more down low, and for a while it was like he just wanted to sit in the perimeter and not play as aggressive, which Drew said, like, if he's going to do that, then there are plenty of other like actual perimeter players that I can go to, and he can shoot. He shot 0 for 4 in this game against Princeton. He said he can shoot 0 for 4 if he's going to go in there and he's going to grab 4 offensive boards. Obviously, he grabs that offensive board off a missed free throw that results in a bucket right out or immediately following it. So second chance points is just those guys that we haven't seen enough of yet. And obviously Xavier Amos is eventually going to factor into that, and I assume that the rebounding will go up when he returns. But just looking for those guys to kind of assert their athleticism, and like you said, the in terms of pure athleticism, it is not even a competition which team has better athletes. And for Ola Joseph, he's shooting 27.3% from three, so and 36.4% from the field. So it's just, he needs to find other ways to impact the game, and clearly it's not just sitting out on the perimeter and jacking threes.
Yeah, no, it's I think that he can be a better force down low, but just to go back to your point, and with effort and all that, I mean, effort is the easiest thing to fix when it comes to locking down on defense, playing good defense, playing physical. When it comes to crashing the glass, effort is the easiest thing to fix, because you can give 100% effort if you want, but if you don't feel like giving 100% effort, then you're not going to. But again, it's so easy to just turn that switch and play harder than the other guy. And if you're not going to play harder, at least play as hard as the other guy if you're both giving 110%. So that's something that I'm certainly going to be looking for here, because again, if they come out and they are ready to go from the jump and they hit him in the mouth early and they're playing as hard as they can, I don't really see this being a close game against a Chicago State team that we just have more talent than. It's pretty plain and simple, cut and dry.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I don't have too much on this one, so I guess we can get into our predictions. I have them winning this one. It's a game that you said it right off the jump. This is a must win and a can't lose. You cannot lose to two teams in the neck in
Yeah,
one
if
season,
you do
even
that,
losing to
then
one.
the
Yeah.
season's over if we lose Sunday, in my opinion, because you cannot lose to 2 teams in the neck, like you said. It's just that would be embarrassing. So
Losing to one team in the neck
it's
is
already
even pushing it.
embarrassing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's already not good, and it's already been the about as worse of a start or about as bad of a start as you could have drawn up in terms of the way the season has gone. But yeah, you can string together a winning streak, string together some momentum, and kind of refine your identity as a team because I think we're starting to see that finally is a little bit closer, not all the way there, obviously, to what we've become accustomed to in terms of Loyola basketball, but we're getting closer to that identity. And if they can find that as getting into conference play, like I still think this team can be maybe not as good and as dangerous as we were hoping to coming into the year, but I think they're a team that is still, at least on paper, capable of making some noise.
definitely. Yeah, they like we said beginning of the season. I think we were definitely overestimating just with what we thought. And again, we're very big homers. We see this team through red and gold glasses, I guess. So we're very biased, and we want the team to be as good as they can be because we're big fans, as I know everybody listening to this is. So it hasn't gotten out the way that we'd hoped, but again, we've got a chance to turn this thing from what was looking like a terrible season into a season where we can win some games and we can be competitive. And again, you never know. You could get hot, you could get hot at the end of the season, and when you go to the tournament, you never know what could happen. But again, it's just take it one game at a time, and you all focus should be on Sunday against Chicago State, a team that you should beat. And again, if you go out there, you throw that first punch and knock them down, get up big, you don't let up, and you win this game by 20, 30 points, which is what I think we should do. And you get on the plane happy going to San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, what was that? What was that Duquesne team that ended up getting hot in winning the tournament? They were playing
They
in
were
the
I think they were a 7 or an 8 seed back when UMass was in the league and they had 15 teams. So they were right in the middle. And again, right now it looks like we could be at the bottom of the league, but you never know once you get into A10 play and you're playing conference matchups, it's a different feel, it's a different vibe. And again, this team looks to be playing better. They seem to be gelling better. And I think once we get to that point, we'll see what happens over these last 3 non-conference games. But anything can happen. You never know.
yeah, exactly. And it really is just about getting your shit together before
Mhm.
the A10 tournament. Like if they can do that, then like I said, I think on a pure talent level, this team can run with any of the big boys in the A10. It's just about the effort level. It's about how they want to play. It's about their continuity and their synchronization, I guess, for lack of a better term, like how they're running within the offense and the defense. Like I do think that this team, like I said, is capable of making noise. It's just about getting things right as you get into conference play. Because if you can avoid those pillow fight games where you're just looking to win 3 games in a row instead of 4, that obviously makes the path a lot easier. Not that it's going to
Mhm.
be easy to win 3 games in a row in a weekend with the level of talent in the A10, but it certainly, like you said, anything can happen. So just anything we can do to kind of salvage this season, and even if they finish, say, like a hair above 500 at like like if they wind up with like 16, 17 wins, sitting right around 500, I think with the way things started, it's like, okay, well,
I
like
would take that.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, it's not what we were hoping for. We were 10 plus games off in terms of our win total projection. But with the way it was going for them to turn things around, like I don't think we're talking about Drew being on the hot seat if that's the case. Like I think he at least buys himself another year there, whether you agree with that or not. But it's something at least that we're going to have a product that's worth watching, which was not the case for that 7 game stretch.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something I want to be excited to turn on the Loyola game. Since the season started, the first few games, it's like, oh, I'm not really excited to watch this game, but I'm going to watch because I'm a diehard fan and I love the team. I love the school and just not fun to watch. But again, you can turn on the game. You can get excited about the game. You can be at work all day and say, hey, Loyola's playing at 7 tonight against whoever it is. And it's a big game and I'm really excited. That's what I'm hoping that we can do here. And again, I've got a lot more confidence right now than I had 2 weeks ago, which is a good thing. And we may
Yeah,
have been off on our projection of winning 27 games, but again, if you can go around 500 and just start playing better, and they have been playing better and doing what they've been doing, I think that's going to bode well. And you never know what can happen in those conference tournaments in mid March. Just keep doing what you've been doing the last 2 weeks. Go out on Sunday and get a big win and dominate like you should, and then go to California and hopefully steal one, and then you can come back here with Rhode Island on deck New Year's Eve with some confidence, and that's when the real season starts.
Yep. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. I don't have anything else. If you have any final thoughts here.
I don't. Just I'm looking forward to this game Sunday. Hopefully we can make it 3 in a row. And again, I'm looking for them to come out, throw a knockout punch early, get up big, and kind of coast. Again, I know Chicago State has played us tough the last several years, but again, I think this is a game we got to come out and kind of flex our muscles and show that we are getting better and we are a much better team than we were a month ago. And just again, get that momentum going into that West Coast trip.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. So we'll be back next week recapping this Chicago State game coming up on Sunday afternoon, and then previewing that West Coast swing against San Francisco and Santa Clara. So be on the lookout for that one on either Monday or, the earliest it'll hit your sub boxes will be Tuesday. So Tuesday or Wednesday, keep an eye out for those. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, give us a follow on social media. You can find me on Twitter at @co_Zach. You can find George at GG Gabra, and you can find the podcast at Ramble On Pod. Make sure to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok at Ramble On Pod with an underscore on there. I'm the same, just at Zach-Co. And then you can find George on TikTok at GG Sports. Did I get that right?
You did.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.